I'm back again to introduce our next session in the schedule. So our next session is a fireside chat, which is sponsored by GoDaddy Registry. The session will be focusing on Tuvalu's digital nation, the race against climate change, and the Tuvalu government's Future Now project. I would now like to welcome fellow NetThing committee member George Pongas, Senior Director at GoDaddy Registry, and the Honourable Simon Kofe, the Tuvalu Minister for Justice, Communication and Foreign Affairs. Over to you, George.
Thank you, Bronwyn, and welcome, Minister Kofe. It's good to see you again, and thank you for taking the time to talk with the NetThing community today.
Hi, George. Good to see you again, and thank you for the opportunity to have this discussion.
Well, here at this fireside chat, although Minister, you're in Tuvalu, so I suspect your fireside isn't running as warm or hot as mine is here in rainy Melbourne today. But we're here today to talk about the Future Now project, and specifically how Tuvalu is preparing to future-proof against the severe impacts of sea level rise and climate change. Before we talk about the project, however, Minister, it would be great if you could just tell the audience a little bit about yourself and about beautiful Tuvalu.
Sure. Thank you, George. Obviously, my name is Simon Kofe. I'm the Minister responsible for Justice, Communications and Foreign Affairs here in Tuvalu. I've been in office for about 3 years now. And for those of you who don't know where Tuvalu is, it's halfway between Australia and Hawaii. I think those are two good reference points for everyone. Tuvalu is the 4th smallest country in the world in terms of land area. But in terms of population, we are the smallest in the world. Tuvalu is made up of 9 atoll islands, very low-lying islands. Highest point is around 4 meters. Otherwise, generally, it's 2 meters. And so, obviously, as you'd note, scientists are saying that Tuvalu would be one of the first countries that would be affected by sea level rise induced climate change. And so we are at the forefront of the climate crisis. And it's a pleasure to be here today with you, George, to discuss a little bit about how we are preparing ourselves for the worst case scenario.
Excellent. And Minister, we met recently in Dubai, where the government of Tuvalu awarded the .tv CCTLD registry contract to GoDaddy Registry. And that's where I first became aware of your Future Now project, which reminds me, you gave me this beautiful keepsake at the signing ceremony. So I'll put it on here. It's quite heavy too. And it was, I was nervous that I wasn't going to get it through customs, but I got through fine. I did declare it and they did say it was okay. But for the audience's benefit and some context, the Tuvalu domain name extension is .tv, and it's the nation's 2nd biggest income earner. A competitive tender was run late last year, from memory, and the contract was awarded to GoDaddy Registry at the Dubai World Expo in March. We're at the final stages, so watch your space, but in partnership with the government of Tuvalu, our plan is to make the government's .tv domain asset the country's biggest revenue earner, and a way to fund these critical projects and initiatives. So, Minister, that's a good segue. What is Future Now? Can you explain it in more detail?
Sure, thanks, George. That necklace looks really good on you, and it's good you're carrying a part of Tuvalu with you. There's a shells collected from the beaches here in Tuvalu.
It's from your island, correct? It's from your home island?
From my island, yes. I didn't collect it myself, but it's from here.
I tell people you did.
Thank you. But thank you, George. Yes, we're very excited about this new partnership that we have with GoDaddy, and we're really looking forward to working with you to grow our .tv domain space. And as you said, we hope that one day it will be the #1 revenue earner for Tuvalu. And so we're very excited about that. But coming back to the, I guess to the project, the Future Now project, just to give people a bit of an understanding of what the project is. The Future Now project, as the name implies, it's a future-looking project to future-proof Tuvalu in a worst-case scenario. And the worst-case scenario for Tuvalu, as scientists are predicting, is that we could be fully submerged underwater in the next 50 to 100 years. But I think before the islands are fully submerged, I think the people would have to relocate because the conditions become very difficult to live in here in the islands. And so thinking about that scenario, I think as a responsible government, we needed a plan B to be in place for that worst case scenario. Let me just make it clear that the primary strategy for the government is to save the islands. And this is obviously through projects of building seawalls, reclaiming land, raising the islands. That's the primary strategy. And obviously that is a very expensive process given the scale of the projects. But the plan B is what my ministry has been working on. And it's a collection of initiatives. And there are 4 initiatives under the Future Now project. The first one is using Tuvaluan values and principles to promote, or not just to promote, but to advocate for countries to take stronger climate action. And why we see the importance of our values is because we are predominantly a community-based society. We value the well-being of the whole community, and we emphasize the responsibility of individuals to maintaining that order and well-being of all members of the community. And if you look at our land tenure system, for example, it's collectively owned by families and clans. And so that's a big part of our culture here in Tuvalu. And we feel that the world has become so interconnected that we are like a single community. And we've become so vulnerable now to even actions of other states from different parts of the world, and we're seeing examples of that with the war in Ukraine, the pandemic that's still ongoing right now. And so it's important that we promote these values as a way to influence other countries to look beyond their immediate national interest and to look at ways you can balance that out with a greater good, and that ties in very well with our advocacy on climate change. I'll go quickly through the other 3. The second is we're looking at the issue of statehood. And obviously, under international law right now, I would argue it's not a consensus at the moment, but there is a definition that is provided under Montevideo Convention on state responsibilities and rights. And that convention defines a state as a nation that has a physical territory, a population, a government, and the capacity to enter into relations with other states. And so we're looking at the issue of statehood because it's really important for us. If we are forced to relocate in the future and we lose our physical territory, can we still exist as a state under international law? And it's important to have that status because it means that you have voting rights at the UN and at intergovernmental organizations. In fact, our right to have a top-level country code domain name is also linked to our status as a state. And so that's also very important. Our claims to our maritime zones, I was saying that the #1 revenue earner for Tuvalu is our fisheries. And so we're also looking at how do we preserve that interest moving forward. And so we're looking at legal avenues to secure that and for more countries to recognize the permanency of our statehood under international law and our claims to our maritime zones. The third initiative, and probably you might have some more questions about it, is the concept of a digital nation. And this is tied to statehood, because if you maintain your status as a state under international law, then you'd want to have a framework in place to ensure that the government can continue to function, fulfill all our responsibilities and obligations under international law. Our governance systems can operate from cyberspace. And so the idea of a digital nation is tied into this concept of a state without a physical territory. And so we're preparing for that scenario. by digitizing all our government services, government processes, but also is a way of preserving our cultural knowledge. We want to also be able to digitize all these things. And obviously it's preparing for the future, but you see also the immense benefit of having these sorts of technology now. It makes us more efficient. It helps us to track the impacts of climate change, provides platforms for data collection. And so that's all kind of tied in with the digital nation concept. And the fourth and the last initiative is climate advocacy. And so that's a very strong focus as well of our project, is to look at ways we can raise awareness on the issue of climate change. And the idea is not just to reach out to leaders, people in government to take stronger climate action, but to also inform the wider public, because we believe that it is the people that votes their leaders into positions. It is the people that will influence and pressure their leaders to take stronger climate action. And so in a nutshell, I think that's everything under the Future Now project.
Thank you, Minister. And obviously we're all aware of climate change. Certainly, it polarizes many people as well, and it's something that, at least from a media perspective, we've been exposed to. But it wasn't until I actually met you in Dubai, and we started having the conversation, that I became keenly aware of how much more it means. And I think Tuvalu is that example to the rest of the world. Culture, citizenship, territory, whether a country can exist if it doesn't have a physical territory. That becomes fascinating from my perspective, the human impact, rather than sea levels are rising and it's going to affect people. That's I suppose the surface level conversation that we get exposed to. I know that you've been traveling around the world and you've been actively engaged. In fact, for the audience's benefit, you just have to type into a search engine, Google, Simon Kofe speech, and you'll see a whole lot of YouTube clips. A famous one of you at the lectern, knee deep in water, and that resonated, and you got a lot of attention. But explain to us what have you been doing, and what type of engagement activities you're involved with to promote this cause.
Well, COP27 is coming up next month, and I'm in the process of finalizing my video that's going to be released. And a big part of that is emphasizing on a digital nation, the digital nation concept. And so by next month, I think by middle of next month, we have Tuvalu.tv website that will be launched as well, and it will be the landing space for anyone who wants more information on the Future Now project and the work that we're doing on the climate change front. There's a lot of competing things that we're dealing at the moment with, but I think the focus right now is to complete that next phase. And we're also looking at building a digital twin of Tuvalu, this being part of the digital nation concept. The idea is to digitize, I guess, a copy of the physical environment here in Tuvalu to exist in the digital space, and that also helps us to track the impacts of climate change, sea level rise over the years, but also the fishing activities that takes place in our waters. Data can all be entered onto the digital twin. So there's a lot of things that will be covered under that, and we're very excited about launching that next month. And we've actually completed the digital twin of one of the islets on this island that I'm living on, and we've identified that islet as one of the first islets that will probably go underwater, and you could see the erosion taking place already. So that will be launched next month. So those listening, you can check out Tuvalu.tv by mid next month.
Which is perfect. It should align perfectly with the relaunch of the .tv namespace globally. So yeah, bit of watch your space. I have got a teaser at the end as well that I can share. But there's a question that I see in the chat. Someone's asked, what's the correct pronunciation of Tuvalu and Funafutu? And I'm definitely not doing any justice, Minister.
So it's Tuvalu. That's how you pronounce the Tuvalu, and the capital is Funafuti. That's where I live.
Excellent, and I hope to visit one day soon. I've certainly made my requests for some corporate travel. I may stay a little while too.
We look forward to it.
Absolutely. What's the traction that you've been receiving with your engagement with other governments around the world and recognizing your rights to exist, the statehood exercise?
Yeah. Well, the approach that we're taking, we're dealing with it on a bilateral level. So what we've insisted under our foreign policy is that any country that wants to establish diplomatic ties with Tuvalu, they need to recognize the proposition that Tuvalu statehood is permanent, regardless of the impacts of climate change in the future. And that also connects to our claim to our maritime zones. And so far we have about eight countries that have already signed up and recognized these. And so we're still working to get more countries on board to support this. We're also doing work in the region with the Pacific Island Forum Secretariat. The leaders declared last year that our maritime zones as well, our boundaries are permanent and they do not shift because of sea level rise. We've also been working with the Commonwealth Secretariat, and we were able to reflect it in the outcomes of the leaders meeting a few months ago that I attended. Reflection that the statehood issue, and so we're hopeful that more countries will come on board, because what this does is that it contributes to the formation of new international standards and the formation of customary international law, and so we're working hard on that front.
And I would imagine there are other Pacific Island nations working closely with you there as well.
Yeah, that's correct. And so, the Pacific Island countries, we all share the same concerns, and our interests are aligned. And so we're working closely with countries like Vanuatu as well. So we're hoping for more support moving forward.
Excellent. I see another question that's just popped up. Minister, many thanks for your talk and for your groundbreaking work in embracing ICTs in government policy and programs. What do you believe the Pacific Forum could do more or better to promote ICT development across the region? And what can partners such as Australia government or industry do better or more?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to ensure that we have the infrastructure in place to get the internet connectivity and connection to a standard that supports initiatives like a digital nation. And I think there are many parts in the Pacific that are still either without internet connectivity or very poor connection. And so I think the primary focus is to focus on the infrastructure to get that, improve the access. Because once you have that in place, then you create the enabling environment for innovative and creative initiatives like the digital nation. And so I think that is key, and it's something that our partners need to recognize and work with us on that.
Okay, and I see another one from Narelle. Hi, Narelle. I haven't seen you for quite a while. Narelle asks, what sort of bandwidth comes in and out of Tuvalu, and how redundant is it?
At the moment, we're using satellite connectivity, and our bandwidth is around 800 Mbps. That's both, I think, the shared upload and download. But we have a project, an ongoing project at the moment, funded by the World Bank, to build a submarine cable. And that's something we're also looking forward to, because that will obviously open up more opportunities for us in the future. But at the moment, that's where we are in terms of our bandwidth. And it's very difficult in islands like Tuvalu because we're so scattered. We have islands that are very distance far away from the capital. And so we've looked at solutions to get them connected as well.
And what else? So when again back from our conversations in at Dubai early in the year, you were looking at blockchain technology, and one of the things I found interesting was your currency. You currently use, from memory, the Australian dollar, but you're looking at, I suppose, the ability to introduce cryptocurrency, or what are the options there? Have you made any progress in that area? Does that fit with part of your digital nation or the digital twin program?
Yeah, we use Australian currency here in Tuvalu, and one of the greatest challenge we have is cross-border transactions. Partly because our banking system does not support those sorts of services and functions online. And so one of the solutions that we're looking at is working through our telecommunication. We're working with a company called, is it Transmax? Panamax, sorry. So Panamax, we're working with Panamax to introduce mobile money, and we're looking at launching that in the next couple of months. But cryptocurrency is obviously something that we've been thinking about as well, and we see that as a mid to a long term vision to have that in country.
And obviously to support local industry and or tourism, although I know that tourism isn't your primary focus. I learned that in Dubai when I saw someone make that mistake. So I won't repeat it here, but obviously commerce at an industry level and between the islands is vital, and digitizing would certainly support that. And I'm just looking at the chat transcript here. Just someone making a comment. I'm not sure if you can see the chat panel there, Minister, but regarding establishing cryptocurrencies as a legal tender, the example of Costa Rica's use of Bitcoin could be used as a cautionary example. So yes, that is. It was good when they started it, but I think the crypto world went through a bit of a and still is suffering a bit of a hiccup since then. Or then someone, I think, or was it Nicaragua? I'm not sure either, Narelle. But certainly a bit of trepidation as you moved into that technology. Unless there's any other questions, I think we're coming to end maybe a little bit ahead of time. Is there anything else, Minister, that you would like to impart to our listeners or attendees today?
No, I guess just on that last point on the example of Nicaragua. I mean, that's something we've been watching closely as well. I think one thing that we are excited about is the blockchain technology that supports the cryptocurrency market. And obviously, I think the way some of these blockchains are set up is more for the investment and market. But I think what we really need to be looking at is how blockchain can be a utility tool that we can use for day-to-day transactions. And I think that's where many of the cryptocurrencies run into problems. So we're trying to use that as a utility for services. That's something we're still working on as well. And like I said, it's more a long-term goal for us. But what we're trying to do right now is to get our infrastructure in place and to get improved internet connectivity throughout the country.
Excellent. Well, I touched upon earlier the .tv domain, and we're at the final stages of the registry transition and the identity or brand relaunch. I had to twist some arms and get our marketing team to allow me to at least give a little bit of a teaser or a sneak peek. We're expecting the target date for the transition is November 15. So obviously waiting for everything to come together nicely. I'll play a little 15-second teaser and hope that it encourages. Just for everyone's benefit, .tv, although it's the country code for Tuvalu, it obviously has the benefit of being a very generic and very worldwide renowned name. It spells what it is, TV. So the focus is on video content producers and streamers. And if you're in that industry, we would like to make sure that those businesses or individuals who have Twitter accounts or YouTube accounts or Twitch accounts, whatever it might be, use a .tv extension. Thank you, Minister Kofe, for your time today. Thank you to the NetThing organisers for hosting another great conference, and a big thanks to the NetThing community for tuning in. And with that, I will do my share screen, and hopefully I get all the click all the right buttons and just play the teaser now. I believe you should all see a test pattern, synonymous to the old test patterns we used to watch, see it late at night on TV. So that's the teaser. If you want to see more, you'll have to tune in. Click the little thumb button on your Netflix channel for November 15. So thank you, everybody. And with that, goodbye.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, Minister.
That was an amazing chat. I loved that. Thank you, guys. Thank you, George. Thank you, Minister.